Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play and earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And in today's video, I wanted to share some really good data points that are available from Xbot that you may not be aware of. And Xbot has released their card research data from May. And if you have listened to my recent interview with Siler, the creator of Xbot, we talked specifically about this data and this data update. And lo and behold, here we go. We've got an update here. The last update prior to this one was from February. So we have the latest and greatest data, including Soulbound reward cards and Gladiator cards that you're going to want to take a look at. Details for this availability of data is in the video description below, where there is a direct link to this Google Doc that Xbot has shared freely with the Splinterlands community. I definitely recommend, if you're a Splinterlands player, to take a look at this data. I think you'll find it an invaluable tool as you're looking to plan out your deck building, your maybe card purchases, or your strategy for growing your capabilities to climb in the ranks in Splinterlands, in ranked battles, in tournaments, and in brawls. Without further ado, I'm going to share the clip from this past weekend's Splinterlands TV Twitch stream, where we dove into some of the details here and kind of got our live reactions from the data. I think you'll find it interesting. And definitely, if you are not joining us regularly on the weekends on Splinterlands TV, definitely come out and hang with us on the weekends. We stream on Splinterlands TV on Saturday evenings at 11 p.m. Eastern and also Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Would love to see you there on Splinterlands TV and certainly be able to give you this alpha and data in real time on a regular basis. Until next time, keep stacking those stats. And if you listen to my recent interview with Siler from Xbot, one of the questions that I had for Siler was, is he going to publish any analytics or any data or details from the Xbot usage that he could share with the community? And it just so happens that Siler has updated that data for the community. And if you haven't seen it, I posted the link on my Twitter this afternoon. I'm going to share some of the details here with you on stream tonight. We're going to walk through some of the details and discuss some of the findings, see if we have any surprises here, and we're going to view it in two different ways and talk through some of the data points. Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a chance to look at the data yet. I was just able to access the data before we hopped on stream. So you're going to be getting my, I guess, kind of instant reactions here, live reactions as we look at the data. And what we have here is we have data that Xbot has put together, filtered by format, league, and splinter, and he's sorted the data based on the total ELO, or the combined rating of the teams found in the Xbot database that contain the card. So basically, if a top team or top player is using this card, it's going to show that. And according to the data here, it says this value indicates a card's strength and usefulness, but doesn't consider cost. And then they've also implemented a value score that weighs the total ELO of a card against its price to indicate cost effectiveness. So we're going to slice and dice this data today, and it looks like it's been updated for May. Looks like the last update they did was in February, and maybe because I asked Siler in our interview about the data, maybe he generated it for us here for May. But in either case, we're happy to have it. And let's jump into the data here. This is a filter that I just set up before the stream started. We're looking at Champion League. So we're looking at the Champion League data, not gold, silver, diamond, or bronze, but we're looking at the top level of the game. And I've got it sorted right now based on total elo. So this is going to show us the top cards in the game, regardless of cost, right? These are the top teams, the top decks. These are the cards that they're using to win matches. And let's go through and see what we can see here. Now, if I look at this, the top 2 cards are promo cards, and they're neutral cards at that. So what does that tell you about legendary promo cards? Yeah, those are good cards usually, right? So number 1 card for usefulness and value, probably no surprise here, at Champion, it's going to be Lux Vega. Obviously the promo card comes maxed. Lux Vega, neutral summoner, 5 mana, +1 speed, +1 health, +1 shield. You all know and love her. Happy Mother's Day to Lux Vega too, because she's carried many of our teams to victory if you have her. And yeah, number 1 card according to Xbot here for value and usefulness based on total elo in Champion. Dr. Blight coming in at number 2. And remember, this is not counting cost. This is just pure utility and value. Now this next one might be surprising for you. Supply Runner, again, another neutral card. This is a Chaos Legion common card. Number 3, Supply Runner, being able to bring always an attack to the battle. At Champion, being able to always give you a speed boost for your team. Being a neutral, always able to bring it, unless you're in Little League or odd ones out. And this card, number 3, kind of surprising, but maybe not so surprising at the end of the day. Another card here, Chaos Legion common card, Deep Lurker. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Deep Lurker is one of my favorite Chaos Legion cards. The poison, the opportunity, the speed, the damage, the demoralize at Champion level. Such a great card. It's number 4 on the list here. It's a common water card. And I use this card, and I to tell you the value of Deep Lurker, like when I run a Kraken team, when I need DPS, yeah, you could bring Runemancer Kai, or you can bring other units that do a lot of damage, like a Sandworm or whatever. You know what I bring in a lot of cases? I bring a 6 mana Deep Lurker, even if I have 10, even 20 mana sometimes. You know, if I have like 14 mana, maybe I bring a Chaos Dragon. But Deep Lurker for 6 mana pretty much is kind of a go-to DPS because of the poison, because of the opportunity. It just is such a great card. But enough about me gushing over Deep Lurker. Number 4 on the list here. And then right below that, this is a little bit of a surprise. A little bit of a surprise coming in higher than the card below it here is Quix the Devious. Who would have thought Quix the Devious, the first legendary Chaos Legion summoner, Dragon Summoner here, coming in at number 5 for value and usefulness. And you know, when I choose summoners or Modern League, for sure, Dragon Summoners, Quix is, you know, kind of a go-to. You know, that -1 speed is definitely nice. But remember, we're not filtering this list on League format. We've got Modern and Wild here. And the value here for Quix is actually kind of surprising here, coming in at number 5. And then we've got Bakjira, number 6. Definitely not a surprise. This card is a game changer, can just win you battles just by using it. Anytime I see my opponent field Bakjira, I grimace, just because I know it's going to just take so much to get through that card. So yeah, that's well warranted here. Kalya, this is a little bit of a surprise as well, that Kalya is below Quix in value here, at least in utility. And maybe it's just because the Dragon Summoner can be used much more than a Water Summoner. But Kalya Frendel here coming in below Quix. This next card, definitely not a surprise. Chaos Agent, so good for 1 mana with the phase, the dodge, and just a good amount of health for that 1 mana, and backfire as well. Yeah, great card for 1 mana. Neutral again. If we look at the top 10 cards here, how many neutrals do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So half of the top 10 cards are neutrals. So that says quite a bit, I think. Now this next one's a little bit of a surprise for me. Angelic Mandarin here, coming in the top 10 for value, or just not value, but just usefulness. This is, I believe Angelic Mandarin's a rare, and it's a water. What I think makes Angelic Mandarin so good is that it obviously has triage right at the lower levels, but the higher levels it gets that silence, and that silence when you pair it with Bakjira is just so good. I don't think people recognize that a lot. If we look at the water splinter here, we look at Chaos Legion, you know, Bakjira at champion has void armor, so it's already good defending against magic damage, having magic damage. But then when you add Angelic Mandarin's silence to a magic attack, and then you have Bakjira as a tank, so you're taking 1 magic damage away from the attacker, and then you're having it. That's pretty significant. And yeah, if you have like a 2 magic damage monster on your team on the opponent side, and Angelic Mandarin's up and operational, you're not even doing any damage to Bakjira at that point. Just totally nullified, neutralized. So that's pretty strong. So that's interesting data for sure. Certainly no surprise, Uraeus and Pelacor Bandit here, back to back on the value list. Mordali Guardian, not a surprise, clutch card. And if you look at these are all Chaos Legion cards so far that we're talking about. Adelaide Brightwing with the swiftness, the repair, the resurrect, so good for life. Jin Renova, maybe a little bit of a surprise, being the 3rd reward card here on this list for value. I don't sleep on Jin Renova. I think she's very strong with the strengthen in the triage and the magic damage that she brings to bear. Let's take a look at Jin Renova here. I mean, at max level, she's giving 4 magic damage with strengthen and triage for 7 mana. That's a great card, not only from a DPS perspective, but also from a support perspective. So definitely can see the value there. Time Mage with the rust and the slow making the list. Archimist the Bear, another neutral. Queen Mycelia, I'm kind of surprised maybe is this low on the list, but certainly a top card. We got the Conjurer here. And then we have our first Untamed card hitting here. I guess it's at number 18. Kitty comes in at number 18 for value. Or not value, but usefulness. That's interesting. I would have rated Kitty over Quicks for sure. Maybe it's just because Kitty's not, maybe it's Kitty's rare. I don't really know how Quicks is higher than Kitty, but there you go. That's maybe your question for Siler. But this next one is a little bit of surprise, and it's Naga Assassin. Naga Assassin here is 1 below Kitty from a usefulness perspective, and yeah, I mean, people sleep on that 2 mana Naga Assassin with backfire and swiftness at champion. It's a great card. Here's where Dr. Blight's coming in for our first wild card coming in here. It looks in about the 20th spot, so that's interesting. And we'll quickly go through these. I mean, let's see if we see any surprises. Goblin Psychic, great card. Crystal Smith, great card. Same thing with Wave Root, Spirit Hoarder. Mirror Dampier, definitely a great card. I think a lot of people, including myself, were sleeping on this card when it first was released. It's got the Snare, the Life Leech, the Cripple. Really strong meta card right now. You got Almo Cambio, Chaos Dragon, Jotun, Rooney, the Slip Spawn, Kinjo, Tower Griffin making an appearance here for champion. This might be a surprise for many of you. It's not a high DPS card, and it doesn't bring a lot of additional utility, but it's got that protect, that neutral protect, which can be very valuable. So it's making a appearance here on this list. Tower Griffin above Demon Shark. That is a surprise. Demon Shark, in my mind, would probably be at least maybe a top 15, top 20 card. It's kind of a little bit lower on this list. Got Immortalis, Thaddeus, Neutrals and Zenith Monk, Zenith Archer, Regal Parrington, Failed Summoner, Celestial Harpy, Oshur, Curse Windiku, Acid Shooter, Scabble Chemist, also a little bit of a surprise maybe, with the Cleanse, the Headwinds, and the Slow here as a support card. So Torrent Fiend, also maybe a little bit of a surprise, seeing that that's the ability for the Torrent Fiend is Headwinds, not Slow, not Swiftness, not Inspire, or anything like that. Torrent Fiend, the #1 Fiend here, which is interesting. So definitely some surprising data here. The way I would look at this, if I was a player, I would look at this as kind of a checklist for the league that I was in, and I would kind of go down this list and compare it to my collection. Let's just say, I know this is sorted by champion, but let's say I sorted it by gold league and I was in the gold league right now. If I was in gold league for modern and I went down the list and this was the order, I would go down this list and make sure I had every card in this top kind of like 30 list or whatever maxed out for gold league level. And if I didn't, I would add it to my goals list to get it maxed out. Because Xbot is showing you the cards that win at the league level and the ones you should focus on. And you don't have to have every card to compete at the top levels of your league, but you definitely want to have the top cards to be competitive, right? So again, a lot of people say, well, the deck cost for a gold, max gold level deck is very expensive. Yeah, I mean, that's the case, but guess what? You don't need to like max out Shadow Snitch or Sunkai Harvester, some of these cards that you may not use, like Carrion Shade or whatever. Like, if it's not going to win you games and you're not a collector of cards, you can maybe ignore the card, honestly, and not even have it in your deck if you never play it or use it hardly ever. So if you're on a budget, don't be dismayed and say, oh, I got to get all these cards at this level. No, not really. I mean, just focus on the splinters, the top monsters and the splinters that you want to play to start with, and start there. And use tools like this to really hone in on the cards that you either should focus on getting up to the new level, or add to your wish list, right? And you can see here more names on this list as we go down here: Igor Darkspear, True Speaker, Volguin, Soul Fiend, Carnage Titan, Jin Oshanis, Shield Bearer, Tidebiter, Countess Sanash. Jinbochka, a little surprising here, honestly. I don't use that card that much, but maybe I'm not using it well enough, and maybe it should be used more. You've got the Princess, the Spellsmith, Coral Lurker, Wraith, Cup Initiate, Magi of Chaos, surprisingly above Jared Scar. Again, maybe that's that neutral value there. Got the Void Dragon, Fungus Fiend, Lair of the Dark, Prismatic Energy for the Wild format. Really good card. Don't sleep on that card if you play in Wild. Molten Ash Golem, surprising here, up here above Pelacor Arbalist. Camila Sungazer actually making an appearance here. So anyways, lots of interesting data to decipher here. And if we go all the way to the bottom, like these are cards, we're talking about cards that you may not need to focus on. Let's go to the bottom of this list, right? These are cards that, you can probably safely ignore if you're on a budget. Let's go all the way to the bottom. Either they're very niche or they're just not very good, right? Let's see the cards that people don't play. Well, I disagree with this. If you all know me, I use Lob Lowland a lot. And it's a soulbound card, so maybe it's just not getting played a lot. But I love this card. Probably a lot of people don't have it maxed for champion level right now. We'll just ignore that. It's got some gladiators on here. We'll just ignore the gladiators and the soulbound cards. Let's look at this one, Dragon Whelp. Yeah, not so valuable. If you don't have a Dragon Whelp, you're probably not buying one anytime soon. It's a collector's card. It's not a meta card. It's very expensive. Same thing with Royal Dragon Archer. Undead Minotaur. Yeah, that card sucks. I bought one. I never use it. I can agree with that being a card that's not needed. Let's see another one here. Gremlin Blaster. I don't own that card, thankfully, and I'm good with that. Glordax Magus. Don't own that card. I'm good with that. Aquatis here for Rift Watchers, the lowest rated Rift Watchers card. Somehow it's lower than Dallin. I don't know how that's possible, but it is. Maybe it's because Dallin's used more because it's so cheap. I don't know. But Aquatis here is at the bottom. I never use a card, honestly, myself either, so I can understand that. Wave Runner. I actually own that card. I don't use it either. Clay Golem. I actually own that card. I don't use it either, so I agree with that. Nebsunny. Don't own it. Can't speak to it. Spineback Wolf is kind of actually... I don't own this card. I never really see it used, but it's kind of like a Serpentine Soldier for death. It's got thorns and it's fast. It's very susceptible to magic, but again, very niche. Rusty Androids here. Yeah, so basically it's a good gauge of some value of cards. Silver Shield Warrior, Naga Brute, Dragonling Bowman. These are all cards. There's Dallin. There's good old Dallin, our old friend. Yeah, I mean, anyways, the point is the data is pretty solid. It's a good reference. Definitely take a look at it. And I'm going to sort it one more way right now. We're going to sort it based on the value score, which takes into account price of the card versus the utility of the card. Let's go ahead and do this sort here. Let's go there. So now we're sorting on value. So we're getting a different view. This is if you have a budget. These are the cards that are going to be the ones you're going to want to focus on. Obviously, Kitty's not going to bubble to the top of this list because Kitty's like not in the realm of affordability for most folks. So now let's see where we got the value score. The highest value score, Pelacor Bandit and Uraeus coming in the top 2 spots, very close to each other, followed by a Pelacor Conjurer, Naga Assassin, Crystal Smith, Renova. So the value here is being seen in those Chaos Legion reward cards, taking the first 6 spots for value score ratings or rankings. And you have then the newer Chaos Legion reward cards, the Murdampier and the Volguin coming up next. And then you have your first Chaos Legion value in the Angelic Mandarin. You can see here you got the Wavesmith, the Mercenary, Vilshka, Supply Runner, Dampier Infiltrator. So what is this list showing you? This list is showing you that if you're on a budget and you're looking for the most bang for your buck, maybe you're newer to the game, this is going to be where you're going to focus on. These cards are going to give you the best chance to win for the lowest investment cost or rental cost, right? So these are the cards, like, and I talk about this quite a bit. If my neighbor were to come to me and say, Tails, I want to play Splinterlands. I like the game, what I've seen so far. I want to build a silver deck. And I have just very limited funds to put into the game. What do you recommend I do? Well, I'm going to refer him to this list right here as a starting point. And I'm probably going to focus on 2 Splinters along with neutral and say, look, let's get you a starting deck of water, neutral, and let's go, I don't know, maybe death or life as your 3 Splinters you're going to focus on. And we're going to build you, let's say, 10 cards at max level for silver from those 3 element types. And that's going to be the baseline of your deck. And I'm pretty confident that that deck at silver could punch up into gold and even possibly higher, just with those splinters and a limited budget. And this would be a great starting point that I would refer that neighbor to, based on a budget and based on crafting a plan to get a deck up and running quickly that's going to allow them to be the most competitive for the lowest price. And looking at this data, I agree with a lot of what I'm seeing here. There's not a lot of surprises here. Anything that am shocked to say, oh my gosh, that doesn't seem right. And the data is being backed here by Xbot and its winning percentages and its effectiveness in the game. So even if I may disagree with something, like for example, let's say I don't think Molten Ash Golem is a card I want to buy for fire for my neighbor, well, maybe Xbot knows something that I don't, and maybe Xbot's using Molten Ash Golem better than I am.